Is epoxy flooring a scam? Yes and no. Let me explain. My name is Kaiki Silva. I run EliteStone.io, and we've managed over $50,000 in client advertisement spend for epoxy flooring companies across the US. I've also installed big commercial floors myself for a local company a couple years ago. And working with various epoxy flooring companies and helping them grow their revenue with proper marketing, I've come across a few fishy things I want to point out in this video. Is this whole industry really a scam? Should you even be hiring someone to install epoxy floor for you? Why should you pay thousands of dollars when somebody can do it for a couple $100? 4 times stronger than epoxy. You've probably seen this thrown around somewhere around Facebook or Instagram. Although this does hold some merit in specific scenarios, it's largely used as a marketing front to get people in the door. You should be aware of the specific products the company you're hiring is using and do your own research on whether it is suitable for your space or not. This brings us into a whole different stratosphere of a conversation. The epoxy floor industry is rapidly growing and doesn't seem to show signs of slowing down. Although this is a positive thing for the economy, it will also bring its downsides. You may have seen some ads offering us $799 two-car garage special, especially prevalent around the Florida area where new businesses are constantly just popping up, which turns the whole market into a race to the bottom pricing strategy. Some of these ads perform exceptionally well where potential customers think they're getting a reasonable and fair deal compared to other companies who charge upwards of $3K for a two-car garage. Most people are uneducated about epoxy flooring and thus opt for the cheapest price, assuming there is no wrongdoing here. They get excited about getting the best deal possible and are super happy when the job is completed. They pay the invoice and are satisfied, and time again, however, a couple of months pass and they come to the realization that they have been swindled and that the product is no good. The floor is starting to peel, it's starting to scratch, it's starting to decolor, it's starting to chip. Whatever the issue is, they now realize the mistake they made. And here's where most people get everything wrong. They do the research after they had a negative experience when they should have done the research before they hired anybody in the first place. So they go online and find out that the reason they supposedly got the best deal of the two-car garage $799 special was only because the contractor or company were using the shittiest product on the market. At this point, the customer gives up on the epoxy flooring industry altogether and calls it a scam, or they try again with another contractor or company, this time making sure they do proper research beforehand. Either way, the entire industry is being negatively impacted by this problem. It puts a negative stigma on the industry as a whole. If they find a good company that shows what types of equipment they'll be using, shows the specific product specifications, shows the specific crew that will be installing it, they'll gladly pay the invoices upwards of 3K. This is exactly why this is not just a lack of research on the customer side, but it's also an issue with the epoxy flooring companies themselves. Epoxy flooring businesses who are actually credible and professional should have an excellent sales process that involves making sure the client receives all the information going into the installation and why certain things need to be done for a successful and professional installation. You should inform and show the customer on various scenarios where cheaper quotes does not mean better, but in fact will actually mean worse. Most even skip the hiring process altogether because they think it's too expensive and a scam, and then proceed to go to Home Depot to purchase one of those epoxy DIY kits for as little as $170 that they can install themselves, only to find themselves walking into a horrific sight of a floor just a couple months or even weeks later. If this industry truly was a scam, there would not be multi-million-dollar companies successfully providing solutions to the customers in need. The whole industry wouldn't exist and would be brought to a halt at some point, but has remained strong and continues to grow. A successful business provides the best possible solution to the market, which in turn will create massive overhead and product costs. You as a customer should be happy to pay the price of professional companies. A professionally installed floor with the right product can last decades. Investing more now will even save you money as the customer in the long term. No need for constant repairs and different installations. Okay, pay the fee now, get it professionally installed, and enjoy it for decades to come. The epoxy flooring industry is not a scam. However, you will find that there are various ways of getting the epoxy floor installed. A good rule of thumb to stick by is if it's cheaper, you're in for a short term solution. If it's a little bit more on the expensive side, ask questions and figure out why. Why is it so expensive? If the company you're working with explains why it's expensive, showing all the detailed product specifications and different machines they use, you should invest in them to save money in the long term.